joining us now, the associate head coach for the Oklahoma State Cowboys in football, and also the very successful wide receivers coach, and a good friend, and a good father. And I say that because he's got some outstanding daughters. I got to see younger daughter yesterday, but Kayla, his older daughter, is just an outstanding student and an outstanding person. I follow her on Twitter. She's a great follow, and she tells some very important stories and reveals some of the things she's into, which are pretty virtuous for a young person. And I know Kasey's really proud of her as well. But Kasey joins us now, and let's mention that first, because I do think you and your wife have done an outstanding job with some great kids.
No, it's all her. That's for sure. Thanks, Robert. Nice day this morning.
I say that all the time too.
It definitely is. If you look back at my grades back in the day, it has no reflection on what they're doing now, my kids. But Mama did a nice job in school, so all the credit goes to her.
Now, I know this. You've done a terrific job with the receiver corps, and I introduced you by the new title that's been added, associate head coach, and I know that Coach Gundy was asked about that, a couple of times earlier this summer, and also down in Arlington at the Big 12 Media Days, and he gives a lot of credit to Coach Holder. That Coach Holder kind of stepped in when some of the things were changing with the offensive staff, with Mike Yursich going to Ohio State and Sean Gleason coming in, and I think especially Coach Holder. I think Coach Gundy recognized it too, but Coach Holder kind of stepped in and said, "Hey, we got a guy here that needs to be recognized and shown." Recruits will say shown the love for what he's accomplished and what he's done to help the football program at Oklahoma State. So congratulations on that title and moving up in that regard.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So, no, that well earned. All right, we were talking a little bit yesterday about the receiver corps, and I mentioned they'll be working this afternoon. And, it seems like every year with Oklahoma State receivers, you got to look at who's leaving, because there have been good guys leaving every year, and that's happened again. But then the guys coming up, and that goes to the recruiting, obviously. But how excited are you about this group? You've got that bell cow that proved himself last year in a big way in Tylan Wallace. But you got a lot of guys across the board, including a new graduate transfer from South Alabama. There's a lot to be excited about. And Dylan Stoner coming back, he's a veteran too. So pretty good core that you get to work with this year.
Yeah, it's a great group, and they're all on the same page, and they all work their tails off, and no complaints with any one of those guys. I mean, they're working their butts off. I was down there watching this morning in the weight room, and Rob Glass and his staff just getting after those guys, and they respond, and that's good to see. Nobody's shutting it down, nobody's turning it away or turning it down, and that's what you want to see from the kids this time of year. And they're chomping at the bit. They can't wait to get it, get back into football and get back into two-a-days, or really, I guess now fall camp, no longer two-a-days anymore. But it's exciting to see the enthusiasm right now for really the entire team. And but yeah, for my receiving corps, it's exciting to see them get out there and compete and run and play, and I'm looking forward to getting back into this thing.
One of the things I think is really kind of fun to watch here is, we mentioned you got Tylan Wallace, and there's no doubt everybody he's circled. He's a returning All-American. He's projected to be an All-American again. He's going to be the top of the Blitnikoff watch list. Preseason All-League. I mean, everybody knows Tylan. But you've got that other side on the outside that is going to benefit, because defenses are going to treat Tylan with the same attention that the media is preseason. And that means that position on the other side of the field, which will be somebody who hasn't been a starter before, but you've got a lot of candidates, is going to have a chance to have a huge year.
Yeah, they should. I mean, Tylan, like you said, and already noted, he's going to draw a lot of attention this year. We had a conversation not too long ago that he's obviously not going to sneak up on anybody this season. So, this is a great year, great opportunity for Tylan to come out and basically prove it. for and back it up the season that he had last year. So, no question, people are going to zero in on Tylen, and that should leave a lot of opportunity for guys like, Landon Wolf and Dylan Stoner and Jordan McRae and CJ Moore. So those guys will get their opportunities. Pat McCaughan's really doing a nice job right now over the summer, but there are going to be some doors opened up for other guys to step forward, and we're going to need them to do that too, but really the big ticket for us on the receiving side of it is, how are we into the run game? And, there's no question that Chuba's a dynamic player, and if he gets off to a great start, that's going to take a lot of pressure off the throw game for us.
Well, and again, Chuba, we've seen evidence. Gary Calcano put it on his Twitter the other day. The kid did a 550 squat, but that's another thing too. What they're doing right now is the lifting and all that. And you've got some guys. I mentioned that other receiver opposite the outside receiver opposite Tylen, um, Patrick McCaughan coming off an injury, and I think he's done well. We saw him in the spring. He kind of went through those phases. You see a knee guy when he comes back, where he starts to trust it again and starts to get going. C.J. Moore is a guy that needed the weight room coming out of high school, but has tremendous talent. You bring in Jordan McRae, who I mentioned from South Alabama, that probably has been their best offensive player. They just haven't been able to get the ball to him with quarterback issues. So, a lot of guys there, but the weight room's going to make all those guys better by the time you see them here in August.
No question, and like we said before, and have stated around here. I mean, Rob Glass is the best in the country, and so those guys are in great hands with everybody that we have downstairs in the weight room, and they're making strides, huge gains this summer, and they're all long, So those guys that, like Pat 6'5", and Jordan 6'5", CJ's probably 6'4.5", 6'5". So all three of those guys are long and thin, and are now putting on a ton of weight and a lot of strength, and with that comes confidence. And so I'm excited. Like I said before, I'm excited to get those guys out there, start working with, come August, and really see where we're at. But as it stands right now, it looks like we're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I want to ask about some guys too that we don't probably ask about enough. Last year, when Jalen McCleskey made the decision that he wanted to spend his senior year somewhere else, Landon Wolf, and it was instantaneous. It was like turning a faucet on. He came out in the Kansas game and immediately started making plays. And I remember when you pulled me aside when he was a walk on and said, "Hey, Landon Wolf is a guy that's going to play, and he's going to play well here at Oklahoma
Yeah.
State." And then I look at guys like Braden Johnson and Tyrell Alexander, guys that have been in the program a little bit. Those are guys too that I think we're going to see them do some special things here in the upcoming season.
Yeah, I agree with you. Landon, like I talked about, Landon came in as a walk on and really determined kid. I mean, he's a 3.5 student. He's got a great head on his shoulders. He's ultra competitive. He's one of those kids that comes in a little bit small, a little bit undersized, a little bit. He's just not that measurable type of kid. But he has a huge chip on his shoulder, and that is made up for everything that he probably doesn't have as far as his height and weight and those type of things. He's been a great player for us, and he rubs off on everybody else too. So he brings a lot more to the table for the Cowboys than just a good player. He brings somebody that does things the right way and spills off onto the other players, especially our younger players. They come in and they see the way he works and the way Dylan works, and now they're held to that kind of standard. So I can't say enough good things about what Landon's brought to this team. Sure, I'm glad he walked on here.
Yeah, another guy I want to talk about, and this was actually the first subject I got into with Tylen in Arlington, and I'm sensitive to it because we can't talk recruiting. At least we can't talk names and recruiting with you, but I do cover recruiting, and so I got to know Tylen and Trayson when they first came up on the radar screen, and were going to camps, and then they committed pretty quickly to Oklahoma State and continued to follow them. Have had a chance to get to know their parents, what kind of family that the Wallaces are, and knew what Trayson had coming up against him coming into college. He'd torn his ACL, same one twice. You just don't see that very often. And then it happened again right when it looked like he was getting on the field. He was getting on the field and making plays. And I know that this affects not just Trayson, it affects Tylen a lot too. And both guys are handling it really well. He's going to work. Talking about Trayson, he's going to continue to work with the team kind of as a student coach and work with you. And you know these kids as well as I do. And I hurt for Trayson, but I tell you what, it is pretty inspirational to see a kid dealt with this kind of adversity and keep his chin up and make the most of it.
That's right. That's right. Trayson is a fabulous kid and comes from just a really, really good family. And obviously Tylen too. I mean, we can't say enough good things about those kids and what they've brought to Oklahoma State. And really Trayson, you know, he knew coming in that, you know, he needed that year to kind of rehab again that knee, and we had him at that quarterback position. If it didn't work out, then we'd move him to wide out, which is kind of the plan that ended up happening. And, you know, he's out there. He's starting to make plays for us. He's got really good hands, good ball skills, and he's out there receiver, and he's doing a nice job. And then all of a sudden he gets hurt, you know, and I mean, that just was the wind going straight out of the sails for everybody in the stadium because they knew what had happened again, or in our indoor facility. They knew what had happened again, and it crushed Tylen, you know, and it crushed us all. It was a really hard time for us as a receiving corps and for Tylen and his family and obviously for Trayson. But he is a pretty resilient kid. I mean, he's been through it before and twice, you know, and kind of knew how to handle this one again, even though the writing was probably on the wall that he wouldn't play again. You know, he still got out there and battled and went through rehab and did all he could to get back to playing again for the Cowboys. But, you know, it just wasn't in the cards for him. And then he shifted his attention and focus now more towards Tylen on trying to get him prepared and ready. So, you know, they watch film together. They spend time making cut-ups together. And you know, they talk about Tylen's game and, you know, routes and releases and all those things. So now it's like two guys are working on one, you know, to get it there. And it's really neat to see those guys work together really for Tylen's game, his opportunity in college football right now, and then hopefully for the NFL later on.
Well, again, special family and those two kids
Yeah.
reflection.
You know, and
Trayson
too, I mean, he's doing a lot for me now, you know. He's doing a ton for me and for the rest of the receiving corps. You know, he does a lot of, you know, just like cut-ups, and he's I think one of these days he'll end up being a great coach if that's the direction he wants to go.
Yeah, and again, those are the kind of kids, no matter what they end up doing, they'll be really good at it, and they've had great support, and their parents have done a tremendous job with I love their mom. Their mom's maybe one of the most positive, enthusiastic moms. And sometimes being a mom can be tough with athletes, you know, but yeah, she always sees the bright side, and I really admire that.
Yeah, Mandy's the
in
best.
her.
She loves the Cowboys and she loves Coach Gundy and she's been nothing but a great supporter and backer of the Cowboys. So yeah, that family's been fantastic for us.
Kasey Dunn with us, associate head coach and wide receivers coach for the Cowboys. We'll keep him just a couple more minutes. When I was looking here at the receiver roster, I realized I didn't ask about any of the newcomers. Now, you only have one scholarship guy coming in as a freshman. That's Langston Anderson, but a couple of really high-quality walk-ons. Cade Cavender is a kid that I saw playing the state championship against Stillwater last year, and I followed him during his high school career. Then Drayson Waters comes in from Jinx. So you got a few newcomers added to the mix for August.
Definitely, you know, and another one in the mix too is Jordan, you know, and I know we talked about him a little bit too, but coming from South Alabama, we expect him to be out on that field this year for us. So he should be an impact guy. But you know, Langston's coming in, and obviously he got nicked up a little bit, and he's just kind of getting in now. And so he's not as far along as some of the other guys like Jordan, you know. But I mean, those four guys, the four that you mentioned with Drayson and obviously Cade Cavender, I mean, that's a pretty good crew. So they're going to, if nothing else, bring a lot of depth, obviously a lot of character. All four of them are great kids. So, you know, I haven't worked with them yet enough to to go right out and say, hey, this is what we've got. But I expect pretty good things. I think Jordan's going to be a good player, and obviously those true freshmen coming in, they all have a chance to play. And I'm really excited about, Kay right now. You watch him out there running around and working out, the Bixby kid. And he's got a chance to do some things for us here. I mean, that's my guess right now until we get into actually throwing the football around. But right now, just in workouts and things, he's got the right mentality, the right mindset for college football.
That takes me to something I wanted to play here, and let's play this. This came from Monday down in Arlington, but it was Mike Gundy being asked about the culture and the success of the receiver position at Oklahoma State.
I think Kasey Dunn, our wide receivers coach, does a tremendous job of researching and having a plan for young men he wants to recruit for a specific position. And then he wants to have a certain young man that's going to fit into our culture and that he can build a relationship with. And he has a standard that he looks for. And if you break that standard before you get to Oklahoma State, then to no fault of them or us, then you're not going to be at Oklahoma State. You might go play for the Green Bay Packers and be a great player, but it's not going to be at Oklahoma State. And he's established a standard in what he's looking for in recruiting. And it's worked out for us in a big way.
Yeah, what I wanted to ask off this, because we can't mention names or anything, obviously, with recruiting, but it's something that as I follow recruiting, I notice different coaches handle their position in recruiting differently. And one of the things that's different about you is a lot of coaches will put a bunch of offers out there and then first come, first serve, but you really keep your offers more to a minimum. Sometimes even just one guy, and you're going to wait, and that's the guy that's your number one that you want, and then you'll make another offer if that one doesn't pan out. How does that work for you? I mean, obviously you're pretty tight on evaluating, and you're very selective, like Mike Gundy said.
No, the truth is it comes from the top. I mean, he wants Cowboys in here, and when I say the top, I'm talking about Coach Gundy. He wants Cowboys, and look at him. I mean, he's a true orange guy. So it makes it easy to recruit for us as assistants because of the expectation level that Coach Gundy has. He doesn't want guys coming in here that are, half in. And I know we don't want that ever at any place in the country, at any school in the country. But sometimes it's lip service, and around here it's not. Mike Gundy definitely wants Cowboys to come in here. Guys that come in here that are true about Oklahoma State, that want to be in Stillwater, that enjoy living in Stillwater. And we've talked about it before as far as, it doesn't have some of the amenities maybe that, an Austin may have or Dallas or places like that. So there's a special kind of kid or kid that finds this place inviting. And that is the type of guy that Coach Gundy wants. So when you're in that recruiting process, that's the ones that you're trying to find. And it's not always easy to do that, and it's not always easy to find that guy that's going to actually raise his level of play within the environment. And that's the real key, I think, to recruiting here to Stillwater. It's not always for everyone up here. And our kids, the ones that I think really flourish are the ones that enjoy getting together on a Saturday morning and throwing the ball around for fun. On a Sunday afternoon, get together again and throw the ball around for fun, or they want to go fishing. Those are the type of kids I think that end up, sticking around in Stillwater, having great careers, and then obviously coming out the back end as great young men in parts of our community. So, and I know I'm getting long-winded on this, but no, it's not me. It's coming from the top, and that's how he wants it done, and we just do it. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, what it is.
Well, it's being done at the wide receiver position really well, and it's been done at the wide receiver position really well for a while now since you got here, because the names and they just go on and on of the guys that have, I think you came in the middle with Justin Blackman, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And obviously Justin excelled at a very high level, and then you just go down the list of the guys that have excelled, and and the majority of them have done it not only on the field but off. So, hey, congratulations, because I know this, and I speak not only for myself, I speak for a lot of fans that come up to me all the time and say, "Boy, Kasey Dunn's not going anywhere, is he?" And I said, "Well, if he does, it's going to be because he gets a great opportunity." But no, I kind of hope he sticks around, and that's the feeling of Oklahoma State fans. They enjoy having you coaching their wide receivers for sure.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And we enjoy being here, too. You know, with 2 daughters now at Oklahoma State, we're in for a while. So this is a pretty good time for the Dunn family. And thanks to everybody out there that are, you know, the Cowboy fans and Pokes and loyal Orange guys. So, anyway, thank you guys, and go Pokes.
Hey, and happy birthday early. I know you'll celebrate that next week, and then get ready to I'm not even going to ask how old you are. You still look young, so that's fine. You know. In fact, I heard you yesterday. You still hold some records in college, so that's good. But hey,
man.
Kasey, I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Robert. Have a great day.
All right, Kasey Dunn, Cowboys associate head coach and wide receivers coach.